give a warm welcome to our special keynote speaker, Professor Ogechi Adeola. Thank you so much, Ogechi. Adeola is Associate Professor of Marketing and Head of Department of Operations, Marketing and Information Systems at the Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University in Nigeria. She has been series editor of the Pan-Range series of Marketing in Emerging Economies. Her multidimensional research focuses on the advancement of knowledge across intersection of marketing, tourism, gender studies, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Her research has been published in top-ranked journals such as Journal of Business Research, Industrial Marketing Management, International Marketing Review, among many others. And she has co-authored articles that have won Best Paper Awards in international conferences in the last years. And recently, she has co-authored the 2021 book, Business to Business Marketing, How to Understand and Succeed in Business Marketing in an Emerging Africa, published by Rocket. And she's presenting today a very interesting topic, emerging issues in African B2B marketing, challenges and opportunities. So thank you so much. And the floor is yours. You can start.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Greetings from Lagos, Nigeria, and thank you for your invitation. It's my pleasure to be with you, and I'll start with my slides. Okay, so my name is Ogechi Adeola. I teach marketing at Lagos Business School. I've already been introduced, so I won't say much. Today, I'm going to talk about emerging issues in African B2B marketing, and I'll look at the challenges and opportunities. So, from Lagos Business School, I'm just setting my time, so I'll meet. Okay, great. Thank you. So greetings from the vibrant city of Lagos, Nigeria. I'm actually somewhere around here. I'm just trying to find myself. This is Lagos. This is where I am, somewhere here, just so you can imagine sitting behind my computer bed here. We are a very vibrant nation. Again, greetings from Nigeria. We like music. We like fashion. We have a very vibrant community, youthful population. So I'll just go into that. Just about me briefly, this is my website, www.ogechiadeola.com, brands and markets. So I put just a brief about me. I write fiction. I consider myself as a fiction writer before academic. So I get serious with my academic writing. I'm a fiction writer too. And these are some of the, I also consider myself as academic that writes in Africa, writing about Africa. They are just mainly business to business, digital service delivery, customer sales manager, management, and recently about COVID-19 recovery in Africa, thinking about how we can promote Africa. So I have very keen interest in business to business marketing. My co-editor here is here. Richard is with us, and this started with a discussion we had in Ghana, and we're looking at business to business and marketing. We went to teach in University of Ghana, and we found out that every research and all the topics and all the subjects people teach in Africa were predominantly focused on consumer marketing. So we didn't really have any materials on business marketing. So we got together and decided to write this. Today makes it the 4th anniversary of that meeting that was held in Ghana. And happy book Business to Business, How to Understand and Succeed in Business Marketing in an Emerging Africa. Some parts of this presentation would be based on the book. So why we wrote the book, I mentioned it, the narrative has been predominantly a consuming nation for Africa. So we have a kind of consumer-centric marketing research. And we found out that less than 30% of articles published in top journals in marketing and management are on B2B marketing, or even generally on B2B in Africa. So globally, limited attention has, even though B2B is gaining momentum, limited attention has been placed on B2B markets, and we don't have materials. So some people regard it as boring, but this is about to change. This is really about to change because there's growing interest. Before I get into B2B, let's get to know a bit about Africa. And the first thing I want to say is that Africa is not a country. We have so many people that when they refer to Africa and Africa's situation, it looks like Africa is a country. Africa is actually a very diverse continent, 54 countries that are diverse culturally, geographically. Richard is from Ghana and from Nigeria, a bit of similarity because we're in West Africa, but apart from that, there are different African countries have their different culture, different languages, way of life, so which has effect on B2B marketing. So somebody said this, I don't know how, that the landmass of Africa is combined. I haven't verified, but I just thought it was an interesting quote to also bring out that it's as big as China, US, India. It's more research will show that. Okay, so this is Africa. We are here I'm here, this is West Africa. Here, most research is on sub-Saharan Africa, and we're there. We don't really, so we have research mainly on, we concentrate on SSA, Central, West, South Africa, North Africa, kind of a bit different from the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. So which consists of Sudan, Egypt, Libya, and other countries. This is a sad story, but I believe it has a happy ending. In 2020, we woke up and saw the economists calling us the hopeless continent. And luckily, after some few years, 2011, Africa Rising, narrative is changing, 2013, Aspiring Africa, and then new scramble. Now China is here. China is all over. We're actually here. So we have to, I'll go with the narrative of Africa Rising, the economy. So Africa is a paradox. A friend of mine that is an expatriate in Nigeria, she told me that Africa is actually a land of paradox, and I believe it. Some people, that there are different aspects of Africa. So somebody said land of the future, new frontier for growth, continent for commerce, which has implication for B2B, and preferred destination for foreign direct investment. So despite this promise, we have many challenges. So overview of trends that have implications for marketing in Africa. Growth, we've witnessed tremendous growth. Before COVID, we had average of 5% according to World Bank, where, as I said, we're many, 1.3537 billion, estimated to grow more than that. In my country, estimated population growth is 2.5 yearly. Projected to double, sub-Saharan Africa projected to double the population by 2 billion in 2050. Youthful population, we have estimated 60% our youths are below the age of 40, as particularly in Nigeria. That's actually what we have. But the whole of Africa is still the same, similar estimate. Millennials are the key demographics in Nigeria and in Africa. So the implication, there's the fast growth, economic growth, projected growth in GDP and population. They point to heightened importance of successful B2B marketing and management in African countries. So let's look at the dominant B2B players. We have Nigeria and South Africa, according to McKinsey, and it's still what we have, and global spending in B2B marketing. We have a large informal sector in Africa. You can't neglect the informal sector in marketing. So it's a good place to look at. And there are so many B2B e-commerce startups that are focused on the informal sector. So that is what we have. That's what's the emerging trend, what we have. We also have the informal sector, different, even if you say large informal sector in Nigeria, in Africa, there are different ways. Traditional trade dominated by open air market in Nigeria, in Angola is different. So it's just a lot of differences. So quickly, I'll go to the challenges we have in Africa. Continental complexity, more than 1 billion consumers, 60% live in rural areas. We have 2,100 languages, 54 countries. So we are massive, and I'd mentioned it. And this has it brings its challenges for B2B. Complex mix of trade channels, which I had mentioned, unique consumption pattern, limited infrastructure. We have data, lack of data, and then it's the institutional void. You can't do without it. In Africa, we have that. So every business, and this is really very important for B2B marketing. So we, as I said, the language different. You cannot have a single African country. So in my country, Nigeria alone, we have a population of we have 525 native languages. Our population is over 200 million. Okay, so we have that, and with the language barrier, there's also that constitutes challenges to B2B for B2B marketing communication. So, what are the major challenges? Infrastructure deficit, high outsourcing costs, skill sets, limited availability of requisite skill sets. We also have high cost of moving goods, barrier to international trade, even Africa to Africa internationalization. We have cultural, social, political. There's trade restriction, although it's easing a bit. We'll still see that currency fluctuation, boycotts and sanctions. And again, we find out that no African country featured in the top 10 preferred outsourcing destinations in the US and in the UK. So we have that problem. And even that was in 2019. In 2014, it's still the same situation. Ogechi and Owusi found the same thing, that is still the same situation. And it has changed little, very little. It's still the same situation as the last time I checked. So what Africa needs critical infrastructure. We also have multiple taxation in Africa. They affect B2B marketing. They affect B2B markets. And there are just so many other risks, regulatory risks, macroeconomic risks, intellectual property risks, in various orders. Again, when COVID struck, we had to deal with it. Estimated that COVID shut down cost African nation economies between 37 to $79 billion. So then the impact of globalization. So globalization came with a delocalization of customers in the B2B markets. They had to go with their suppliers. But for African B2B internationalization, it created another problem because they had this problem of infrastructure. They didn't have enough funds, so they needed funds to move. They also, again, local content requirement when they moved with their MNEs. They had different countries had local content requirement. Some countries will tell you that you must partner with a local firm to be able to provide certain services. Then again, the institutional void. So that's it. Now, this is very important. I thought I should bring it in. Yes, I'll now refer to it as Leontief's paradox. It's really a paradox that African nations. So we have the resources, very rich resources, but we kind of export it and we bring it in. Cocoa is exported at cheap rates and imported back as expensive chocolate in Ghana. We have Nigeria oil sector, so we have oil sector. We export and we bring in refined products. So we have all this. Tomato is exported and brought back at tomato paste. So we have that problem in Africa, and that increases. So the whole of Africa, it's like Africa is different, of course, but the whole of Africa, that is a predominant problem. So the big question is that how can we capture the value embedded in our natural resources? So that's another problem. So let's see. Opportunities are abound in the country, even with all these challenges. And imagine this is Africa rising, opportunities, implication for B2B marketing. So challenges are like two sides of a coin. So when we have challenges, there are opportunities. There are opportunities that are rising in B2B marketing is digitization in B2B. So new technology emerging, and we are seeing a lot of digital application of digital technologies to transform products, services, processes, work, and activities in the continent. Of course, it's referred to like the fourth industrial revolution. Some people question that, but we'll go with predominant literature that this is the fourth industrial revolution. And we're seeing a lot of big data and analytics, augmented reality, additive manufacturing, cybersecurity, a lot happening in this space. And it's also it has implications for B2B marketing in Africa. So I'll go. Now, I will just concentrate on these 9 pillars that are having impact, and they are in Internet of Things, cloud computing, autonomous and robotics, systems, big data analytics, augmented reality, cybersecurity, simulation, system integration, and additive manufacturing. The implication for B2B that their intelligent products can now be built and configured to meet customers' unique requirements. Intelligent factories use advanced technologies to run. Intelligent assets link all operational processes and enable predictive maintenance of equipment. Empowered people have tools and information they have to work with. So from our book, this from our B2B book, they have the forms of digitization that have effect in B2B marketing in Africa. So we categorize into digitalization of sales channels, value creation through digitized sales funnels, and digitalization of customer insight, and then the sales function. So I'll just go through it very quickly. So B2B channels are digitalizing their sales channels to complement their sales force with online channels. So now there are some interactions online, so customers can place orders and they can even co-develop products with customers. So that's is creating value. Then the other one, digitized sales funnels, artificial intelligence enabling B2B firms to identify and qualify leads that can benefit value proposition. And insight, where B2B firms are beginning to use digital to have insights about customers. They're able to see what customers will purchase, how they make their decisions, antecedents of their purchase decisions that is relevant. And the last one is the customer service. So we have the chatbots, and it's common in many B2B companies or firms. E-commerce is growing in Africa because of and it's helping with some challenges that I had mentioned earlier. So we find that because of population, if you look at population, we have a huge youth population, and in that population you can say the youthful population, which we mentioned, we have access to mobile phone. So they actually e-commerce is thriving in Nigeria. There are many companies rising, coming off Flutterwave, Paystack, African startup is buzzing. It's so incredible. We're just seeing the e-commerce companies coming up, and they sell B2B, B2B to C, and that's what we're seeing. There are just so many of them, and there are many startups that are happening, and we have the fintechs also providing services. Again, our huge informal sector also has opportunities. It's increased their B2B commerce coming up because of the informal sectors, and people are beginning to understand the informal sector in Africa. And because it cannot be neglected, we see many B2B businesses moving into trying to see the void in the informal sectors and how they can help the informal sectors accelerate and grow, help with their growth potential. So that's it. So we are seeing that. Then another trend we're seeing is firms is a transition into servitization and moving from a product dominance, which is throughout B2B in the world. I mean, product dominant logic to service dominant logic. And we're seeing that adding value to products, and we're seeing more of co-creation of value within companies in B2B So there are many, including service extension, which goes from service extension, service network strategy, co-creation, and digitization strategy. So it's just a process that we're seeing that it starts with first service extension, adding more service to the product offering, the use of service network, addition of service along ensuring that actors within the producers network also transition to servitization. Third strategy is customer co-creation, which is a very important aspect. So we're seeing they are co-designing with their customer and looking at, so it's moving really from that product logic to it's a bit customer centric, looking at how do you create value, and value creation needs collaboration. So we are also seeing another one which the fourth strategy, digitalization strategy, that involves use of digital applications to provide additional service to products for the customer. So this is from our book. So it provides opportunities for B2B companies to rethink their value creation process. So again, we are looking and asking what's the way forward. Presented opportunities, presented strategy, presented the challenges. What's the way forward? And The way forward, I'm going to read a quote from the president of Rwanda. He said, in Africa today, we recognize that trade and investment and not aid are pillars of development. So the opportunities and the way forward is the way forward is the trade blocks. How can Africa prioritize trade within ourselves? And this has real big implication for B2B because they are the businesses that are involved. So a trade block is an agreement that is held between governments. So, but for us in Africa, there's something happening, and which we're very excited is the African AfCFTA is African Free Continental African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So which is what is the focus now. It was created in agreement among 54 of the 5 African Union countries. So to ease all the blockage, all the problems that we have been mentioning in trade, in infrastructure, in movement, in the multiple taxation. And so these are the objectives. Objective for Africa is single market, create a single market. It will aid movement. It will enhance competitiveness of member states. It will encourage industrial development. That's the objective for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we have that. It brings together a lot of funds in an economic block, and we're hoping that it will lift millions of Africans out of poverty, and it will also help businesses. The member countries are listed. It's creating one African market. So we have that. So despite these challenges mentioned, we believe that there are many opportunities for B2B markets with this. So the removal of tariffs will spur intercontinental trade. It will help Africa gain new ground. So next way forward, I believe that all the stakeholders have a role to play. The government has a role to play by making infrastructure, improving infrastructure in their community. The B2B companies have a role to play. They also need to understand what is important in B2B marketing. They need to understand the importance of customer relationship. They also need to understand the importance of collaboration with other companies. The employees, the media also has a role to play. So different environmentalists will have a role to play. So make sure that businesses operate ethically. Also make sure that they looking at the sustainable development goals. How can businesses be able to look at the planet, preserve the planet, look at different aspects, whether it's reduction, how can they help in the goals, no poverty, zero hunger, education, health, education, gender equality. There are just so many aspects that will make B2B companies be looked at as good corporate citizens. So we have the role of government, we have educational institutions. This is very important. Now we have a great role, everybody in this room. How can we play our part? How can we play our part in having more B2B research, talking to government, looking at how there can be collaboration? What is the role of writing about B2B and the problems and the solution? So I believe we all have a role to play. Way forward 3. I believe that B2B companies should come together. They should come together and create and have a viable mechanism for absorbing knowledge and technology. Africa has different technologies, but many things are in silos.
Okay.
I'm researching indigenous technologies in Africa, and there are many ways that with their knowledge embedded in indigenous technology. How can we scale up as Africans? What can we do? What can we do to become more competitive? How can we also not work in silos? How can we, have use technology as a source of competitive advantage? But it means institutions within Nigeria, within Africa and outside coming together. Let's exchange ideas. And again, let's also think of knowledge transfer. Okay, so I'm summarizing in conclusion. I'll say that The dynamics of operating business environment in Africa are different. Not only different, they are fraught with emerging trends and challenges, but again, full of opportunities. And we have prospects. There are key issues. How can African countries encourage and increase trade? And when they do that, it will improve marketing activities. What industrial, trade, and investment policies would be needed for African companies to upgrade on the global value chain? And that way would improve effectiveness and efficiency. Then again, we need to do more research on competitive strategy, relationship management, collaboration, business services, big data analytics, and other emerging issues. Then finally, how can African B2B markets and companies survive the global competition? So these questions require exploration through further research and scholarship, and this should spur further discussion and exploration of opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was
great. Thank you so much for your presentation. So interesting, so many information and ideas. And so please ask questions and to Ogechi. Just don't use the chat. I think it's easier if you just raise hands, and it's easier to ask and answer. Any question? Okay, so I can start with the question if there is no.
Yes.
There is so much. Thank you so much. What a great presentation with so much information. I would ask about the role of the universities and higher education is just in the movement of these relationships and trying to make what we are this technology transfer and being leaders in this process that are so many new challenges that you are explaining. I suppose your university, that is the top university in your country, must be doing a lot of things in this direction. I can imagine managing stakeholders and trying to get the best results from all the resources you have around.
Yes.
I suppose projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was listening, and I'm accepting, like saying thank you for your question. So I just wanted to finish. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So the universities have a role to play and to encourage knowledge transfer. And I believe I look at Africa and I say we're different countries, and even within that, the countries, we kind of operate in silos. Sometimes there might be knowledge somewhere. How can you codify the knowledge? How can you codify the knowledge in different places? In my school, last month, we were training. We brought together techpreneurs. We call them techpreneurs. They are just young Nigerians that have so many ideas that they want to sell to businesses, but we needed to bring them together, and it was sponsored by British Council. So to look at what are the technology inherent, how can the young techpreneurs scale up? So looking at this, we brought them together and saying, this is your business model. How do you sell? What do you do? How do you market to this company? So we are looking at them. There are many, the knowledge is there, but again, they need to scale. How do you scale the knowledge that they have? So bringing together, every educational institutions will need not only to teach, they should lead the discussion. They should look at which technology can be they should look at the issue of technology transfer, which is very important within Africa. So that's my response to that. It starts with acknowledging that we have knowledge in silos for different businesses doing this. How can we leverage? Because it's only when we leverage and when we combine, we will be able to compete favorably. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much. I agree with you that you have to make it work, and the universities have a big responsibility. Okay, Yuma Yusuf,
Yes, I do have a one comment. Thanks for the interesting presentation. And I do believe that Africa is a land of opportunities, like you said. But in Egypt,
Sorry, Juma, we cannot hear you.
We can't hear you, Juma.
Yeah.
Now you can you ask again, Juna? We can't hear you. Juna?
You're not on mute, but there might be a problem with the connection.
Yeah, we can't.
No, we cannot hear you.
We cannot hear you, Juna.
Maybe would you like to type in the chat?
You can write your question.
Sorry, but we cannot hear. You meant Egypt? You're in Egypt?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was just waiting to hear her.
Stop there.
Okay. You're writing on the chat?
Yes.
We cannot hear you, Juma.
We cannot hear you. We might go ahead with the other questions and come back to you at the end, okay? Michael, correct?
Yes, thank you for the great presentation. And I certainly would agree that, well, Africa, there's a lot of opportunities there. One thing I was aware is I did recently a study in the fintech sector. So there are companies like M-Pesa and Paga. And what we see there is that actually getting maybe on a later stage of development is a great advantage. Yeah, you have greenfield investments, so you start with setting standards for mobile payments, for example. So you mentioned Internet of Things. So I was curious if we can expect similar things in the industrial internet, if we can expect similar things in the manufacturing area. So can we expect that there might be a standard setting manufacturing companies coming from Africa, and would you give us an advice what we would need to look at if we would be interested in learn a little bit more about that? So I was wondering if in the industrial sector also some advanced developments are coming from Africa, which we see in other areas also.
Okay, I think in the fintech industry, we have an advantage because, as I said, our youthful population, people doing this. In the manufacturing industry, they are looking at their supply chain, they are looking at the logistics, they are looking at that. And so there are many logistic indoor companies, small companies coming up to bridge the problem of logistics. So we have that. We're just, so the third mile, they are just looking at the delivery and saying that. But in the manufacturing, so it's more of manufacturing effectiveness, efficiency, and seeing how technology can help them. But it's, to me, it's almost the same with what you have in other, looking at Africa, looking at the global, the rest of the world to learn from. So that's what you have in Africa. But in fintech, we have an advantage. We have an advantage. For me, I'm going to say something. I have a contract with Emrad Publishing, and I'm writing a casebook on Africa, indigenous African technology, indigenous African businesses. And I'm seeing a lot coming up in manufacturing sector. There's local manufacturing. They are having some kind of processes that they are using, but nobody knows about these processes. Nobody really knows. They cannot improve, they cannot do much because they need the scientists, they need the industry, they need the educational institutions to come and understudy and say, this process that you're using that is on a small scale, how can we improve it? How can we expand it? And so other African countries will learn. So the process for, if you want something from Africa, basically is to look at what are the local trends, the local knowledge, indigenous knowledge that we can tap into, because that's because with the indigenous knowledge, the people know what we need in Africa, or the people have the knowledge of Africa, and they've been doing they have kind of manufacturing process, but they're all on small scale. So that's what I'm calling for everybody, all the stakeholders, to come and say, look at what is happening in Africa, look at indigenous manufacturing, what can you learn, and how can you scale the businesses?
Yeah, great. So I would be interested to learn about it more in the future. So, yeah, great. Thank you.
There are many, and I found out that the manufacturing, there are many indigenous. So we have people from Egypt. So I have Egypt, and I'm very happy that I have contributors from Egypt. Egypt talking about the textile industry. We have Tanzania, we have South Africa, looking at indigenous knowledge within Africa, because I'm really interested in anything in Africa, any aspect, and looking at how, and including manufacturing. We call it production. We call it local production. We didn't call it manufacturing in the book.
Okay, thank you.
So hopefully artificial intelligence would help if everybody comes together. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed?
Hello. Actually, I had a comment regarding the challenges Africa now is facing. If we are talking about a new and current, let's say, macro environment events in terms of inflation, in terms of destruction of the supply chain, in terms of some problems related to COVID-19 and independency in manufacturing and digitalization to help, let's say, Africa as a continent to be more independent, not relying on other, let's say, players in the supply chain. I think there is a huge opportunity for local, let's say, governments and local manufacturers to capitalize on the advancement in supply chain digitalization, to advance the dialogue in terms of policy and in terms of economic integration. This is my main comment about the role of manufacturers in African context. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So what you're referring to, especially those people that are advanced, I was also thinking of the indigenous. Yes, this is very interesting. And thank you for your comments. Thank you for your comment. Yeah. There are actually many big, if you're looking at the big firms, there are many big manufacturing companies in Africa. There are many. Those are the ones that, if you're looking at the large scale ones, there are many. But also there's informal market in Africa that will need all these aspects that have been mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Any other question? Jumna, you might want to try again? If not, so I think it's exactly the time to go. Thank you so much, Ogechi, Adeola, for your so interesting presentations. I think it's a topic we could really speak about for a long time. Now we are going to the next sessions, the session 5. With
I'm going to stop recording now.
Yeah.
Well, there is a comment here. Sorry for yes, Juma. I'm hearing you very good, but I do believe that Africa is a land of opportunities in Egypt. For instance, we do have natural resources and natural gas, diverse population, some industries. Egypt lead as textile and steel industry. But the biggest challenge is to attract investors in countries all over the world. Juma, her microphone is not working.
Yeah.
anything to comment about it?
Yes. Yeah, Jimmy, I have in my book, there's a company that I'm doing a case study, and it's on the textile industry. It's called Kilim. I mean, the textile is Kilim. So it's looked at, and they are looking at how they can export and looking at how they can make what they can do. I mean, not the company, how they can use culture as a source of competitive advantage. So that's a very, yes, that's it. That's the name of and they are looking at how they can use culture as a source of competitive advantage. And that's very interesting, looking at how you can attract investors, how you can use it as your value proposition. But in everything that we have to do, there are many industries, there are many small scale manufacturers, there are many small industries. The informal sector is very huge. Apart from the formal sector, the very formalized sector, apart from the very big industry, there are B2B companies that are in the informal sectors. The question is, what can we do? How can we help the small industries what can we do in B2B marketing? How can we teach them value proposition? How can we look at how to improve their supply chain, their logistics, their route to market? What do they do? So these are questions that we have to ask. But if we come together in educational institutions, look at the problems Africa has and offer some solutions and keep talking about it. It's actually a land of opportunity. Youthful population, natural resources, good people, and many more. Thank you.
Sure. I agree.
Thank you.
So the thing is, so thank you so much for your presentation.